Overwatch 2 is almost here, so it's time to get your 5-stack together, top up on some snacks, and get ready to dive into everything the hero shooter sequel has to offer. So what team composition do you need to play to make sure you're setting your team up for FPS success? Here's our picks for the best 5-stack you can make with Overwatch 2's colourful cast of characters on day one of release. We'll start with the support role, since these are probably the most locked in duo right now. You're going to want your healer mains to pick up Lucio and Brigitte. This devastating duo have been one of the most dominant support cores in the Overwatch League since Overwatch 2 came out. And while the pros aren't always right, especially for players new to the game or at lower ranks, Lucio and Brigitte are too good not to pick. The loss of one of the tank roles means teams will be looking for bulk wherever they can get it, and Brigitte is the tankiest support Overwatch 2 has. Her shield bash may have lost its stun, but the damage Brigitte can dole out has been massively increased as a result of the stun nerf. And combined with her flail, Brig has the ability to put off incoming DPS pushes on your back line, while also enabling your team to push through weakened enemy lines, especially with her AoE healing providing some much needed longevity to team fights. And now that her cooldowns actually do hit 0 every now and then, the flail wielding engineer can actually pop off with her healing more than ever. Shield Bash's terrible reign over the Overwatch meta may be no more, but Brigitte can still cut it with the best that Overwatch 2 has to offer. And sure, she may have lost a bit of utility, but her support teammate more than makes up for that. Lucio has been top of the Overwatch charts for years, and that hasn't changed with the launch of Overwatch 2. There's a reason the Brazilian Beatsmaster has consistently boasted the best win rate of any support in Overwatch history. His wall ride ability gives him unparalleled unpredictability in a team fight, and Sound Barrier is still one of the best ultimates in the game. The chance to negate enemy ultimates while defending a choke or objective, or better yet, prevent them from biting back against your team's ultimates while you push to secure a point or win a vital skirmish, was and still is a valuable asset to basically any composition worth its salt. And then there's Crossfade's speed boost, which has had its value massively increased in Overwatch 2. The switch to 5v5 means mobility is more important than ever, and while it might be harder to boost your entire 5-stack together, since teamfights do tend to be a bit more scattered and chaotic, the fact that Lucio gets that crucial support health regen passive means that he can shoot around the map at top speed without really having to worry about himself. There are, of course, other options in the support roster that may yet prove to be more successful. Mercy is always going to be a valuable pick thanks to her even greater levels of vertical mobility unlocked in Overwatch 2, and there's an argument to be had on whether or not Kiriko will be the most cracked support your Overwatch coins can buy, but since the kunai wielding Kitsune lover won't be appearing in ranked for a while anyway, she shouldn't be on your radar unless you're really committing to being a Kiriko main. So you've locked in your healers, let's look at dealing some damage. Genji and Sojourn are looking like a deadly duo out of the damage pool, mostly because of the variety of compositions they can support and thrive on. Genji is still an absolute menace to deal with and can easily wear down backlines or finish off low HP enemies with fast dashes and ridiculous mobility that makes him a nightmare, especially for lone tanks. The resurgence of hit scan and projectiles in Overwatch 2's more gunplay focused style means Genji finds a lot of value in his deflectability, comfortably dealing with most threats other teams can throw at him, at least until your tank or support core can swoop in to help a ninja out of a tight spot. And with way less shields blocking his progress and stun out of the equation, it's easier than ever for the cybernetic ninja to charge up a dragon blade and run house on any and all enemies, unless they're willing to throw the kitchen sink at him to stop him. Combine his ult dragon blade with something like Lucio's sound barrier, and you have a wall breaking support damage core ready and waiting to be deployed to devastating effect. So Genji takes care of your close quarters combat, maybe consider adding Sojourn to the mix to cover all your angles. The brand new hit scan hero can beam through most enemies given enough time, and while she requires decent aiming ability to get the most out of, any DPS worth their salt will be able to make her do work in Overwatch 2. Her charged railgun shots have the ability to melt through back lines and isn't too hard to hit with, and she gains railgun charge by shooting shields, so the likes of Reinhardt and Winston especially can be annihilated if they step into the path of a half-decent Sojourn main. You also shouldn't rule out Soldier 76, who's undergone a bit of a renaissance in Overwatch 2 even after a few nerfs. He's another hero who has massively benefited from the lack of shields in the sequel, and as one of the easiest heroes to pick up and play since he's fairly self-sufficient and essentially plays like any other classic FPS hero in the history of the genre, he's a viable and strong pick for newcomers and veterans alike. Which leads us finally to the tank role, and it's arguably the most up for grabs slot on your 5-stack squad. The removal of one of the tanks means that the role is more important than ever, but it also means that depending on how you want to play, a fair few of the tanks are viable picks. Jungle Queen's brief but terrible reign over the Overwatch League might finally be behind us after the devs managed to address the balance a little bit, but she is still an incredibly strong pick and will likely continue to rule the roost down in lower ELOs. Her raw power and the utility she can spread across her entire team with commanding shout, particularly that speed boost, makes her one of the more versatile tanks in the pool, but she benefits most from a hard and fast playstyle that is relentlessly aggressive. Combine her with Lucio for the ultimate fast-moving, quick-killing machine. She is staring down the barrel of a day 1 nerf though, like we said, so if you played her during the beta, you might find she feels a bit different than you remember. 5 stacks looking for a more traditional tank to keep their team in the thick of battle would be better off looking at Winston or even Doomfist to fill the role. Winston is the same old lovable ape of old, but he now has the added virtue of having one of the few shields players can get their hands on in the game. He's even got a ranged option on his Tesla cannon just for good measure. All that said, the tactic for getting the best out of him remains pretty much exactly what it was in Overwatch 1. Stay steadfast, move quick, and hassle. With one less tank to deal with, Winston can jump back into backlines with a bit more safety, and if he can bubble wrap his DPS teammates at the same time, you're set up for a push that'll be hard to repel. On the defense, anyone who's played the original Overwatch will likely find some comfort in how little Winston has actually changed. As for Doomfist, his new power block ability has made the brawler bloody hard work to wear down, while Rocket Punch and Seismic Slam means he maintains elements of his mobile DPS kit with some added bulk to make it even easier to drop in, disrupt, and destroy. There is, however, more nuance to this brutal brawler than you might first give him credit for, so newer players might struggle to make him work at first, at least until they've really figured out the flow and rhythm to his abilities and cooldowns. But if you can master him, Doomfist is as strong a tank pick as you can find in Overwatch 2. So there you have it, the ideal team composition for your 5 stack once Overwatch 2 finally hits our screens. Who are you planning on maining? Do you agree with our picks? Or have we got the read wrong? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more Overwatch 2 content like this.